gonna do here is mask out some white trees. This is a blue masking fluid. I'm kind of pushing and pulling it around for the trees. Simple way to paint your snow trees. I'm using watercolor paper. As soon as this is dry, we're gonna give it a quick wash. This is a really simple. Anything that goes behind this is gonna create your white trees. Simple. We'll bring it over a little bit. I'm just pushing it with a skewer so that it gives a kind of a natural edge. This is gonna dry in just a few seconds. Okay, so what I'm gonna be doing on my regular paper, I'm gonna let this dry for a minute, and I've already masked out all of my white bright highlights on the other paper. So there's whites, and then there's whites. I know that doesn't make sense, but it will in a second. Okay, so I'm just kind of put it on very randomly. It hasn't snowed much lately, so kind of put it on. And then you'll see on my other paper, what I did is I already lined this out. So I'm gonna show you the drawing. Fun masking stuff. So we're gonna be saving whites. I'm gonna do it kind of quickly. This one is still wet. The one underneath, it's still a little tacky. But down here, it's dry enough, so I'm gonna be wetting my paper. So we're looking at white and then extra white by saving the white of the paper. Okay, so this is dry enough. It's still wet up here, so I'm gonna stay away from that, and I'm gonna put glazes all over the whole area. Pretty wet. And like I said, there's white, and then there's glowy white. Fun. So the picture I'm using is from that place up by Mendocino with the calla lilies. Clean out a palette, spot on my palette, and get the brightness of the sun over that. Play around with getting some of the bright in there. Now we know these are white, but then they're going to be shades of white. Let me get it a little brighter. Now my paper's pretty wet, so nothing's going to be sticking to it for a while. But you can see the masking is kind of rolling up a little bit on there. Push it around a bit. I still want it brighter, so I'm going to pick up some more of the yellow that's a little cleaner. My palette's kind of dirty, which not a good sign. Okay, brighten up some spots. I haven't sectioned anything off yet. The shadow with a little bits of purple. Heavy shadows where it's going to be right up against the bright white. I haven't stayed in any of the lines as yet. Soft lines only at this point. Only on the wet paper. That one's a little dry, so I can start defining some of it. Give it some movement in the leaves. I'm going to start lifting out a few of the little light spaces, but I'm going to use a really, really clean brush. Clean it off. Still very soft lines. little light right there at the tip. So as this all dries, it looks kind of crazy right now. When I want hard lines, when this is dry, that's when we can start separating a little bit. It's still damp. So I'm adding value where some of the leaves are going to be. Still no hard lines. Okay, so while that's drying, still very, very soft, no hard lines. There's some lights in there that can come back. I'm gonna hurry through this so this doesn't take so long. Pulling some of the stems back. Looking for movement really more than stems. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside for a second and come back to this, the trees. And there's probably, start with some sky around it. Make sure it's getting in and around all of those lines that have been masked in, and then maybe there's a hint of, or a suggestion of trees behind it. Maybe a little greener. Just kind of pushing and pulling. Make sure every part of the masking is covered. Maybe it's going to have a hill kind of down and around. We don't know. And a suggestion of trees off the side. Right here. Da-da, da-da, da-da. So the darker that is value behind these guys, the more that they're going to show up soon as the masking is off. And then we can give it a little looseness and we'll see what happens. So when all that comes off, I know I got a little bit too much water on there. All this comes off and we're actually going to have a row of trees that are just going to appear. A little bit more darkness around. And then we'll stop and I will come back to the original one. This time I'm just coming around on the dry paper and coming behind the calla lilies. The bottom layer is still drying. Still a little damp. This is on dry paper, so it's just going to stay right where I put it. I'm going to turn this upside down in a minute, let things kind of run around. So I'm just fighting kind of around those little white spots of flowers that disappear. Leaves, suggestions of stems. Come down around this one. Now, this is pretty dry behind here, so I can actually go right next to it, create the outside. I'm using a mixture of blues and yellows, so I might be getting different shades of green here. This is on dry paper. Loosen that top edge a bit. Try some watermarks. I'm going to take it off the bottom. It's going to always be darkest down on the bottom to set things into the ground. This is, again, this is on dry. So it's going to start creating some of our flower edges. A bit of the edge. So this is what shows up. Remember the white? These are still white, but they're going to have color on them. It's funner than having no color. Some suggestions of stems, maybe a little bit. So the flowers that started to disappear, by putting the darks behind them at this point, they'll come back alive again. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. They're dry enough to come behind. Okay, I'm going to separate these last two that are here. It's still a little bit damp, but I think it'll work. I'm going to shadow them with a little of the purple mix. And they should start to get separated. Just clear water. If it bleeds into the background a little bit, that's okay. Flowers are natural. Turn it. This is all going to be greenery, so I think I'll fill that one in right there. But keep the light. That was probably a flower, but oh well, now it's gone. A few more water drops. And we'll bring this flower back out. Just a little softer. I'll touch those in there so we know where those flowers are going to be. The little tongues. Okay, so it's starting to get separated. I'm going to soften a few of the leaf lines. Pull a little bit more out of that one. The rest of it is going to be quite a bit of negative painting after some of the shadows. So we'll come back to that. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you how to take this masking off to make our trees. Very fun, easy. Scrape it off. Leaves you a simple little note card. You can embellish it a little bit or not. Put anything behind it. So that was easy, easy. Okay, and part of this is working, so I'm going to take off some of the masking on that too. This is just a little rubber piece that pulls it off. Really, really easy. This one might come off too. From here on out, all we have to do is probably add a couple little shadows where it needs to be separated. Maybe brighten up the little tongues here. Here's a good start. And I'll play with it for a little while, and then we'll put the finished painting on there. Okay, thanks.